Welcome to Gestalt IT.
I'm Blonda from the Global Partner Organization at Cisco.
And my name is Remko Deenik, one of the technical directors Europe at Pure Storage.
We're here at Cisco Live EMEA, and we've been talking to a lot of great companies throughout the event. And we wanted to sit down with our friends at Pure Storage and Cisco to talk a little bit about some of the trends that they're seeing in enterprise IT. Things that are going to be shaping the way that you consume technology in the future. And I think one of the biggest ideas that has come out of Cisco Live that's really starting to gain traction is this idea around sustainability from a global perspective. And Eric, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about some of the initiatives that Cisco's taking around sustainability.
Yeah, it's not just gaining traction. I mean, it's the top billing out there. If you walk across the show floor today, there's multiple examples of Cisco's efforts in the sustainability arena. It's a requirement today. It's the top customer concern, and we're working in every part of our company, every part of our product line to make sure that sustainability is a priority.
Yeah, and I would agree. It's something that's really starting to impact the way that people look at things, not just from the perspective of, giving to green organizations or trying to do things like offset their carbon footprint. As we start purchasing equipment and we start planning how our next cycle of replacement is going to happen, we really have to understand how that can impact things going forward. And Remko, I know that Pure Storage has been doing a lot in this area in concert with Cisco to kind of help, set up success for people in the future. What are some of the things that Pure Storage has been doing to kind of help with sustainability?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the interesting thing is that the way we've designed our system has been very sustainable from the start, but I would say the last decade, people weren't all that interested, right? It's now really picking up interest, primarily, I guess, from the energy consumption part, right? Just the way to save energy, and that automatically saves cost. But actually, if you look into the way that we build our system from the ground up, there's a lot more going into it. We have an evergreen model, which basically means that we're upgrading all the hardware components in the duration of the system. We do that all non-disruptively. But by just upgrading the components that we need to upgrade, we minimize waste and we minimize usage of components. In addition to, of course, from a sustainability perspective, to optimize shipping, optimize packaging, optimize power consumption, and all of that, right? But it's like the whole suite of things that we try to invest with, which is also a great partnership with Cisco with the new FlashStack X product that we launched together. It aligns very well from a technical perspective to the way that we architect our system and how Cisco's architecting their system, using the stateless design, being able to replace components at will without having to replace the entire thing.
And I know that's been a problem in the past in enterprise IT because we get locked into these systems where, if you want another one to increase capacity, well, sorry, you have to get rid of the one you've been using and you have to buy the new one because the new one is 10% faster and 20% quieter or something like that. And then I kind of go into the data center, I'm like, but I could still be using that one. And it sounds to me like the partnership that you put together, I can continually upgrade the pieces inside of it and use that, framework, if you will, until effectively it reaches its end of life. And it reduces the amount of e-waste that we're creating that honestly is a challenge because even if it's out of sight, out of mind for us, it doesn't mean that it's not impacting us on a level somewhere else. So is this something that Pure and Cisco are committing to in the future, of this ability to say, we want to try to create a system where we can help enterprise IT admins kind of stage their upgrade cycles and use the least amount of components possible to produce good performance for our users, but also good performance for our planet?
Yeah, 100%. I think if you look at all the recent product announcements, you'll see that there has always been a lot of focus on reducing complexity, reducing the number of cables, for example, reducing power, and all of that, right? It is part of our commitment. We also still have customers that became a customer of Pure when we launched the company in 2012 publicly that are still running these systems. They have never been shut down. They've been upgraded multiple times. They've been added new capacity, removed some older capacity as well. And the systems are still running, right? That's the core principle of our company.
Yeah, I think that that's something important. When you find a customer that's willing to stick with you, through a lot of the technology changes and things like that, and they're still very excited about what you're offering, it gives them hope to be able to continue to use that. And let's be honest, the reducing the amount of technical debt as well as the amount of e-waste that you're creating is a huge advantage. Maybe I was wondering, you mentioned that you can buy new hardware and you can integrate that new hardware into your existing lines. How would I go about doing that if I was a customer? Is that something like I have to come back to you every couple of years and write a check and do some CapEx? Or is there like a way that I can do that where Pure is like, hey, you know what? This thing's kind of getting to the end of its life. Why don't we give you a little bit of an upgrade?
Well, I think what you see generally in the market, right, is everybody's looking to subscription models. And if you look at the foundation of Evergreen, where you initially purchase the system and then only renew your maintenance contract or your subscription, as we call it, every 3 years, that is already almost a pay-per-use model. And I think it was about 4 years ago, we really transitioned that model into what we now call Evergreen One. That is a fully pay-per-use model for our system. And if you move into that, then basically we'll take care of everything. You just pay a price per terabyte, and that's it. You get an SLA, you get a service, and we'll take care of everything. And obviously that allows us to optimize the uses of the system, but it also allows us to ship less gear at the start of the contract. A lot of customers are investing for the next 5 years. They buy a lot of empty capacity that just sits there running in a data center, using up power for no good reason, right? We're able with that subscription model to just right-size the solution. We'll always provide spare capacity, so the customer is free to go wherever he wants to go, but we just put only the equipment in place that we need. We can also, even if the customer starts basically shrinking in size, moving maybe to a public cloud, for example, we can basically take equipment out and reuse that in other customers' subscription environments, right? So even from that perspective, from the e-waste perspective, we're being much more efficient in the way that we offer our solutions. For the customer, it takes all the pain out of all the planning, right? They just have a price per terabyte and don't have to take care of anything else.
Yeah, and I would say that's a huge challenge and a shifted mindset, because the cloud has kind of forced us to effectively change the way we consume things. I mean, I, being a former network engineer, I'm like, buy the biggest thing you can on the truck because it'll last you the longest, even if you're never going to use all of it. And then you just kind of sit there letting it idle. And I mean, honestly, that's why a lot of companies kind of came about, was you've got all this idle space out here just kind of doing nothing. Why don't we find a way to kind of capture that and use it? And I like this idea of shifting the mindset away from that to, well, why don't you just pay us for what you're using today? And as you need more, we can provide that as a service so that you're not consuming additional resources like power and cooling and floor space, honestly. And I think that's valuable.
And it also aligns well with our partnership with Cisco, offering FlashStack as a service to be able to have the entire stack as a service. And I think customers are moving away from the traditional IT environments where they would install a system and use it for 5 years to much more of a DevOps mindset, an agile environment where they're changing a lot of things throughout the time. So it's much harder to predict where you will end up in 5 years' time. And having everything on an as-a-service model allows you to grow wherever you want to grow with your company.
Yeah, and I think that aligns quite a bit with some of the things that we've been hearing from Cisco as well, about this idea of, you know, pay for what you need now, continue to use it, we'll grow with you as needed, and that way you're not feeling like you've had to buy too much, or, you know, the subscription's out of control because, well, you need to be on this extremely high tier in order to use a feature. I think that you know, Cisco and Pure have done a really great job of right-sizing it to what my needs are as a customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tom, we've been at this together for 10 years, partnering between Cisco and Pure to bring solutions to market in such a way that we offer the latest innovation, as you say, is a subscription model. The Cisco Plus combined with Evergreen One means that we have Cisco Compute, Cisco Network, and Pure Storage in a solution that allows customers so much flexibility, not just in the way they're deploying workloads, but the way in which they're paying for that service. So sustainability and the consumption model is just the latest piece of innovation that we brought.
And, you know, having history worked with Cisco and Pure Storage in the past, I know that, you know, you can both together kind of be seen as a best of breed type of solution. But with the subscription pay as you go as a service, you don't have to pay those best of breed premiums in order to be able to have that installed in your organization. You can kind of grow as it comes, but still maybe keep your pricing model under where it might be, like in a very reassuringly expensive public cloud offering or something like that.
No, especially if you rule out all the migrations and all the stuff that you need to do to just keep the lights on, basically keep running what you're running. There are massive savings in that. I think the other thing is that the architecture of both Pure and Cisco allows you to focus a lot more on automation, right? Make your infrastructure much more flexible, use infrastructure as code, use Intersize from Cisco, use Pure One from Pure to basically orchestrate everything in your environment and really treat the entire stack as something to run your application on in the best way it can, right? And giving the power to the developers to automate and orchestrate their entire application lifecycle without having to spend too much time on keeping the lights on.
So gentlemen, this has been a fascinating conversation, and I've really learned a lot about some of the great partnerships results that you guys have had. Do you have any final thoughts on how important sustainability is for the future of the IT industry?
Well, just speaking from Cisco's standpoint, it's, Cisco's such a large presence in the IT space, and the industry in general is expected to make corrections over the next several years in order to completely change the landscape when it comes to sustainability and high tech. So we're doing our part there. We've re-architected, re-engineered the Cisco UCS component of our FlashStack solution. The efficiencies that we're gaining there, just from a power consumption standpoint, is phenomenal. But what we're doing now is partnering with Pure so that we can have particular trade-offs when it comes to storage, compute, and network, so that we can optimize the entire solutions top to bottom. Wasn't too long ago we were rolling out these monolithic solutions, and as you said, you wheel it in every 5 years and then wheel it out for the next thing the next 5 years. And now modularity, automation, deployment efficiencies, and just the tech development is really allowing us to make some substantial gains, and more to come.
Yeah, so Pure is committed to net zero emissions for the Scope 1, Scope 2 emissions, so everything that we use as a company. But we also committed in a 66% decrease on power usage for all of our products, right? So we're very clear on that. We have the roadmap how we'll get there, and we'll commit to that. And we're integrating with partners like Cisco to really take the next step on that sustainability journey. So we offer insight into how systems are being utilized, whether maybe you should move some workloads from one system to the other to optimize the usage and all of that. And that we integrate with Intersight, where there's also a lot of information around the compute part and the networking side of things, right? So we can basically integrate and give customers a full view on what's available and allow them to take their responsibility in creating a sustainable environment.
Sounds wonderful. Now, of course, our Gestalt IT audience is very technical, and they're always wanting to do more research on topics. If anyone watching this video wants to learn a little bit more about some of these initiatives and how this partnership is continuing to develop, where's the best place for them to go to learn more information?
I would advise them to go to flashstack.com. It's the best place to find everything you need on the solution. It will provide insight into the new sustainability report. So great place to get started, flashstack.com.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being a part of this Gestalt IT interview today. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about some of these initiatives, you can check out some of the linked articles below. And if you'd like to see more interviews or articles of this type, please make sure you check out gestaltit.com for all of your enterprise IT needs.